Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. And today we're going to be discussing how to remove a repossession from your credit report. This will be an update to a previous video that I did last year showing you the exact same thing, except this time I'm going to be showing you an alternative method as opposed to using the CFPB. However, the CFPB is currently open at this time. I highly recommend you still use that method, but this will be an alternative method just in case the CFPB is not open in the future. Now, with that being said, a repossession is a type of charge off, and we're going to discuss everything about it and exactly what's the difference between this and a regular charge off. And then I'm going to show you the example that I had from last year of two repossessions that got removed, and then we'll discuss how you can do this exact same thing, replicate these steps, and get this repossession removed from your credit report as fast as possible. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So of course, we're going to start with what is a repossession. Now, a repossession occurs when a creditor takes possession of the collateral, usually it's a car, that you put up when you take out a loan. And here's how that works. Before a lender agrees to lend you money for a car purchase, you must agree to guarantee payment of the loan with the vehicle. The contract creates what's called a lien, and the lien is in favor of the lender. Now, the lien allows the lender to take the car, sell it, and apply the sales proceeds to the loan if you default on your payment. And if the auction price isn't enough to pay off the loan, you'll still owe the remainder, called the deficiency balance, and the lender will release the lien on the car after you pay the loan balance. So here are the three main differences between a repossession and a charge off. Now, a charge off is an accounting term. It simply means that the account has been removed from the company's books because no payment has been made in 120 to 180 days, depending on the type of account. So you can have credit card charge-offs, you can have installment loan charge-offs. As you know, there can be many different types of charge-offs. Now, repossessions, as mentioned prior, is when collateral is taken back. So this can occur with property, it can occur with furniture, it can occur with jewelry or personal property pledged to a secured loan. Any of that can be repossessed as long as the lender follows the state laws. Now, the Federal Reserve requires that a lender charge off credit card debt in 180 days, that's 6 months. Now, a car loan or an installment loan must be charged off in 120 days. All right. That's really the main thing that's different between, let's say, credit card debt and a car loan. And this was a question that I got a lot, but can a car loan be charged off without a repossession? And the answer is yes. It's very possible to charge off a loan without the dealer repossessing the car. As stated earlier, car loans are supposed to be charged off if no payment has been made for 120 days, but unsecured debt like credit cards or medical accounts can stay on the books until they're 180 days old. Usually a lender will repossess the collateral and sell it long before 120 days pass. Almost always, the proceeds of the sale won't be enough to cover what's owed on the loan, and most lenders will need to charge off the remaining balance. There's no law that requires the lender to repossess your car before charging off the loan or any collateral for that matter. The lender could choose to do it the other way around, or they can choose to not repossess the car at all. The lender might be forced to forego the repossession if the car can't be located or if the car's value is less than it would cost to auction. For instance, if the car was totaled in an accident, the repossession doesn't alter the need to charge off the loan or prevent the original creditor from selling the charged off loan to a debt buyer. So even if you have the vehicle, if you're past 120 days, that vehicle can be charged off. You may not see the R on your credit report, which means that the vehicle has been taken back or the collateral has been taken back. All you will see is that the car is charged off. There's also a such thing as a voluntary repossession. Some people will be told that if they voluntarily give up the car, then they somehow won't receive this charge off. You'll still receive a charge off because in most instances, whatever the value of the car is, it won't be enough to pay the loan off. And then you'll have a voluntary charge off with the remaining balance, and it will affect your credit report the exact same way. It's still going to be derogatory, and you will still have to dispute that account. Here's an example of a deletion that I got back in February of 2024. And I think on February 29th, this account was deleted. And this was a family member. I was helping them out. Normally, everything is DIY, you do it yourself, but I was trying to help them. This was actually 2 auto loans that got repossessed, and we got them deleted from the credit report. And I'm going to go over, exactly how this was done in the next slide. But I just wanted to refer back to this. At the end of this video, I'm actually going to link the original repossession video where all this information is there. So you guys can have the method for the Better Business Bureau, and you'll also have the method for the CFPB. You can choose whichever one that you would like to do. Once again, my recommendation is that you go ahead and you actually use the CFPB method. That is my recommendation. The BBB is fine, but the CFPB is just way easier to use in order to actually get this deletion. I've just found that it's just way easier. They are open, and while they're still open, you should take advantage of it. However, if there's ever a situation where you cannot use the CFPB, this is a great alternative method that you can use with the Better Business Bureau. All right. So once again, I'm going to add that CFPB video to this video. So at the end of it, you guys can check it out and you'll be able to decide which method you prefer to use. So now that we understand the difference between a repossession and a charge off, which they're all charge offs, but there is a difference between anything that's backed by collateral. We know that that's a repossession when they take back whatever it is that you actually secured with the loan. And the other type of debt is unsecured debt, which can also be charged off, but you don't have anything to actually secure that loan. Nothing changes with how you dispute this. The only thing that might change is the way that the account is labeled. All right. A repossession might have an R on your credit report, and then you might see charge off, charge off, charge off, or it might say repossession, repossession, repossession. These are all things that you can actually use to dispute the account. Now, I've used this verbiage in all the rounds. We've talked about this multiple times. If you're new to my channel, for the sake of transparency, so you understand what's going on, there's a credit repair playlist. I've made so many of these videos that I know for me, it sounds like I'm repeating myself. But for you, if you're new, you're hearing this for the first time, but you need to dispute this account in 3 rounds. The first round is a preliminary investigation. And on that round 1, you're going to pretty much use this same verbiage. You can alter it slightly if you would like. But recently, you looked at a copy of your credit report. You noticed several inaccuracies. This account is hurting your ability to obtain credit. And you understand that the credit bureaus will investigate to ensure accuracy. You enter your repossession account name, you enter the repossession account number. You can send this through the Better Business Bureau in this example, or you can also send this through the CFPB. That video is going to be linked after this video. You can look at the timestamps and it'll be there. All right. So if you decide to do the initial investigation, you need to always include a copy of your driver's license, a copy of your social security card, and proof of address. You need to add these 3 things to your round 1 dispute. Do not screenshot the account or add that in round 1. You don't want them to actually have to see all the inaccuracies on the account. Now, when you do this, normally you will get a response within, let's say, 7 days. Usually it's fairly quick. When you receive a response, more than likely they will verify the account as accurate. When they do that, you can send your second round through the Better Business Bureau, and then you would send this verbiage. I disagree with the account listed below that still appears on my credit report. Even after your investigation, I would like this item to immediately be re-investigated. The inaccuracies are highly injurious to my credit score. You would enter again the account name, account number, and in accordance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, you're going to enter, and you don't really need the law. Just when I originally did this, this is what I use. It's actually unnecessary, but what's important is that you're asking them to provide the names, the business addresses of each individual with whom they verify the account with, so that you may follow up. And you're going to ask them to send you an updated copy of your credit report after this reinvestigation. The reason why this is important is because in the FCRA, and once again, if you are new to my channel, highly recommend, I know it probably seems like a lot of work, but hey, if you want to clean up your credit, this is what it takes. I talk about the FCRA a lot. All right, that is your consumer rights. That is what you're going to use to get this account deleted. The consumer rights or the FCRA will let you know after any reinvestigation, you can request the account be deleted or it can also be updated. It just varies in each situation. Now, this account was, it was investigated once, nothing changed. It was investigated twice. Sometimes off of round 2, accounts get deleted. It can really, it can really vary, but you would want to send this round 2 verbiage with a copy again of your driver's license, your social security card, and a proof of address. You still will not send a screenshot of the account. All right. Now, when you get to round 3, you're going to say the account was charged off on the following date. You would add the date, or the account was repossessed on the following date. Since then, the account has repeatedly been updated as repossessed or charged off every month. You can look at your account because your account is going to be different from anybody else's. That's the reason why charge offs are more difficult to remove than collections or anything else, because no one charge off is the same. Everybody's credit report will look different, but there are some things that I see that normally are the same. One of the main things is that your charge off will actually have some type of repeated reporting that is highly inaccurate. Let's say it says repossessed for several months, or it says charge off for several months. A charged off account should not include any active payment history. This inaccurate information falsely manipulates the statute of limitations. You failed to investigate this account properly after I asked you to do it twice, and your neglect has violated my rights. I'm demanding a deletion for the following account. You would then enter the account name. You would then enter the account number. No matter what charge off you're disputing, you pretty much follow this exact same formula. You just need to find what the inaccuracy is. And then I always put round 1 through 3 because I don't know what you're going to do for round 4 because I don't actually know what's on your account. If this, let's say, gets deleted from Equifax and TransUnion, but not Experian, what you need to do is look at the account, find the inaccuracies, find whatever doesn't actually match. Sometimes I recommend that people use things like Identity IQ because you can see the accounts next to each other. However, annualcreditreport.com is the most accurate report that you can get for your credit reports. It's the most accurate. You can get it free once a week. I highly recommend that even if you use Identity IQ, you get those reports for free and you view them. You can then find inaccuracies that are between all 3 bureaus, and you can use that for your next round of disputes or any other inaccuracies that you can find. As long as you can find more inaccuracies, you'll follow up with round 4, you'll send that. You'll follow up with round 5, you'll send that. And if you have to go, beyond that, then you'll keep doing that until the account is deleted. I do have the Ultimate Credit Repair Guide. You can get that from the website. It is for purchase. If you want to see how to create these rounds, you don't need to do that. Throughout all my videos, I give you everything. I have another video that actually talks about when you go past round 4 and round 5. I might actually update that video. So, if you just want to get additional verbiage, that guide shows you how to put it together. You still have to put it together yourself, but it just goes through different ways to structure it. However, it's really simple. You don't really need that. It's just something that you can get, but it's not required. Let's actually go back to this example that I used. And if we look at this example, as you can see, charge off, charge off, charge off. It even has repossessed 3 times. This is highly inaccurate. Once an account is charged off, it should be dead. This account should have stopped having any update in payment history on this date. Now, this is something that you can actually use as an inaccuracy and something that you can actually use to get this account deleted. You also have the balance being updated on August 31st, 2022. Well, if this account was supposed to be closed, right? This account was supposed to be inactive. You shouldn't have a balance update for August of 2022. So they're constantly updating this account. So if they didn't delete this for payment history, I could then say, well, look at the balance updated. It was updated recently. This account should have been closed. You can use that for your next dispute, and then so on and so forth. You can keep looking at different things. I've had some people even use ChatGPT in order for them to actually find inaccuracies. They'll just throw the information in there or the picture and it'll generate some type of disputes. If you guys want me to show you how to do that, then I can show you that. I think it's really easy though to just get a highlighter. If you want to print this out, if you want to be more hands-on, just highlight all the inaccuracies. I mean, it's very easy to spot the more that you actually do this yourself. It's very easy to spot. And I think it's important to understand what's going on rather than just, hoping that something just comes off. It's much easier when you comprehend exactly what you're doing, because then it's easy for you to adjust to if this doesn't work out right away, and you won't feel defeated. You'll know exactly where to go, because if you have 6 inaccuracies, you'll have them locked and loaded to just send, and eventually you'll get the account deleted. Now, the one thing that I do want to recommend that you do, one of the main reasons that accounts get verified is your personal information. So if you have a repossession and when you originally opened that auto loan, you had a particular phone number, you lived at a particular address that you no longer live at, if you had an employer that you no longer work for or you do work for, that information might be on your credit report. I highly recommend you delete that old address. I have videos on how to do that. I highly recommend that you delete the old phone number. I recommend that you delete the old employer. I also recommend that you go to LexisNexis, Innovis, various secondary bureaus, and completely wipe those old phone numbers, old employers, that old address from every source that you possibly can. If you do that as well, it just greatly increases the chance these accounts will get deleted. So just an additional step that you can take. And of course, like let's say you've lived at the same address for 6 or 7 years, then it's okay. You don't have to worry. You can still dispute it. It may be a little tougher, right? But that's just something else that you could do to just really help increase the chances of deletion. All right. So next we are going to take our round 1 verbiage. I'm going to show you how you would dispute this using the Better Business Bureau. And then at the end, once again, I'm going to link the video with the CFPB. I highly recommend that you watch that video, or you can jump through the video and go to the section where I talk about how to actually submit that dispute through the CFPB. So currently we are on the Better Business Bureau website, or bbb.org. You can type it into Google, it'll come up. Your home screen should look similar to this, may be different depending on when you're watching this video. But somewhere on the home screen, if you scroll down, you should see File a Complaint. You'll want to click that option. Now, when you click on that option, you'll get a couple of different selections here, but you want to select, I like to file a complaint against the business and have BBB help me get a resolution to my problem. And then you're going to click on File a Complaint. Now, when you're using the BBB, you will need to send this dispute 3 times, okay? You will need to send it 3 times, because on the BBB, you cannot select every single bureau that you would like to dispute at the same time. On the CFPB, they allow you to select all 3, so you would just send 1 and you're done. With this one, unfortunately, you have to do them all one by one. So you would type in TransUnion's name. You would see all these different addresses come up for TransUnion. You would look for the PO box with TransUnion that's for disputes. So if you're looking for the TransUnion PO box, this is going to be the one. You can type in TransUnion, and then if you need to find it, then you could type in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or PA, and then it's going to show up as TransUnion Corp, PO Box 2000, Chester, Pennsylvania. And I'm just using this one as an example, but that's why I'm saying, like, you have to kind of play with it. Or if you Google the actual PO box for each bureau, you can actually type the state that the PO box is in for disputes. It'll come up and you'll find it just like this. All right. So then you're going to hit select. And then, is this complaint solely about buyer's remorse? You're going to read through these options, please, because they might change. Like at the time of recording this video, they might switch the options. Read through it and just make sure that these options do not apply to you. But I know from doing this so many times that the answer is no. And is this an employee complaint? No. Do you see criminal penalty? No. Has this complaint been filed in court? No. Are you a business attempting to collect money? The answer is no. So then continue. Now here you're going to enter your first name, your last name. It says email address optional, but you need to put your email address where you can be contacted. The Better Business Bureau will send you an email asking you to verify that you were the one who submitted this dispute. If you do not respond, they will never submit the dispute. So yes, absolutely, positively put an email where they can actually respond back to you. You'll also want to enter your address for verification purposes, your city, your state, and your zip code. Okay, I know it all says optional, but you do want to enter all of that information. All right, we are on step 2. Tell us about your complaint. Now I want to go over a couple things on this page. It says, note, to help others evaluate this business, your complaint details may be added to the business profile for this business on bbb.org. Sometimes they publish these complaints. Now, please do not include any personal identifiable information, including credit card numbers or your social security numbers when you tell us about your problem. BBB may edit your complaint to protect your privacy rights for yourself and others. So they're just saying that because they may publish information, that they don't want you to put any personal or sensitive information in this section. You will be putting the account details in this section, account number, everything like that. This is a charged off account. It honestly should not matter. So you're going to enter, this is the round 1 verbiage with your account name, your account number. You always say this issue occurred in the last 12 months. And your complaint should not involve any health issue or healthcare provider unless that's applicable to you. You can also enter the account number again here. You don't have to because you're entering it right here where you're doing the tell us about your problem. And then for if there's an amount of money involved, then you can enter the amount of money for your charge off. You can enter it, but you really don't have to, but you can. And the desired settlement, right, is going to be a correction to a credit report. You are then going to upload a copy of your driver's license, your social security card. Remember, you always need this. And you'll also upload like a utility bill, proof of address, a phone bill. You can do your insurance, voter's registration card, bank statement, whatever the case may be. You're going to upload a proof of address. You need to send those 3 things. Once you do, then you can hit continue. And this is step 3, the final step. You're going to review the information. Make sure you have your first name, your last name, your email, your phone number, your correct address. You're going to have the complaint information here with the desired settlement. It's optional if you're active duty and you want to select that. Would you be willing to help the BBB? If you want to give them additional information, then you can. It's demographic information. You don't need to provide it. These 3 options you need to select. Make sure that you read through them and that you understand that what you're agreeing to, and then you would submit. Now, when you submit this in about 24 hours, you're going to receive an email from the Better Business Bureau confirming that you were the one who submitted this dispute. They're going to take you to a portal where you'll be asked to enter a code that they provided, and you need to respond. Once you respond, they will then send the dispute through. You will most likely hear from the credit bureaus within 7 days, maybe 7 to 10 days. When you get the response back from them, more than likely it will come back verified. If it does come back verified, you can move on to round 2. You repeat this same process. You send round 2, and then sometimes it gets deleted, even in round 2. Sometimes it gets verified. You will then move on to round 3. And now this is where you should expect some deletions or updates. And then from there, you'll move on to round 4 or round 5, whatever is necessary. Now, this was just for TransUnion. You would need to submit this for Experian and Equifax. This is why I say it's so much easier to do this with the CFPB, because with the CFPB, you can select all 3 bureaus. It'll create 3 separate disputes, and then you only have to do this one time. Again, at the time of recording this video, they're still open, but this is just an alternative method if you do not want to use the CFPB or you can't use the CFPB. And if all else fails, everything that we talked about here still works. It's based on your consumer law. You can always send a letter certified. Okay, so even if you don't have the CFPB or the BBB, everything we talked about still works. The only difference is you would take all of this and you'd put it in a letter. That's it. So other than that, this is another alternative method for you to get your repossessions deleted. All right, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. At the end of this video, I'm going to attach the original version about how to remove a repossession. It's pretty much the exact same information with more details, except it's going to show you how to do this through the CFPB. Again, that is my recommended method. However, if anything occurs with the CFPB, this is your alternative option that I recommend that you use other than that. All right. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and you have a wonderful day. Welcome back to Success with Steven. On this channel, we talk about business, finance tips, and everything financial literacy. Today, I'm making a video on something that I've got requested very frequently. It's how to remove repossessions from your credit report. And this is going to be, in my opinion, the most comprehensive step-by-step guide to removing repossessions that is currently on YouTube to date. And we're going to go through, not only are we going to go through step-by-step, we're going to actually go through the example where I recently removed two repossessions on one credit report. Currently, there's a third one that's still on there that is still on the report, but I'm going to take you through the entire process, exactly what we did step by step, and I'm going to give you verbiage and give you all the tools that you need to be able to do the same thing. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, please like and subscribe. Turn on your notification bell for new videos. I usually release 2 to 3 videos per week, and these are tips that you won't find anywhere else on YouTube, with step-by-step guide, real examples. Any information that I've given, you will see from previous videos. If this is your first time on my channel, everything that I do is things that I have done before and things that I can speak to because they're my own personal experiences or I've personally done them. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So one thing that we're going to take a look at before we get into the step-by-step process, we're going to just talk about exactly what a repossession is. And this is just going to be for people who will have this question or concerns when it comes to identifying these types of accounts. And you also know, if you're new to my channel, if you're old, then you know I'm big on understanding information more than just telling you what to do. My biggest thing is I want you to be able to understand how these things work, be able to identify them and define them. And then I think that that really helps with the process of getting these things removed. So I want to first go over what is a repossession, because I've gone through a couple of comments where I talked about it, but I feel like this is the first time we're going to go over it in great detail. So a repossession occurs when a creditor takes possession of the collateral. Now, the collateral that people usually associate repossessions with is a car. Even though a repossession can happen on other types of items, it doesn't have to just be a car. So a repossession occurs when a creditor takes possession of the collateral, i.e., if you got a car, they take the car back, that you put up when taking out a loan. Here's how that works. Before a lender agrees to lend you money for a car purchase, you must agree to guarantee payment of the loan with the vehicle. That's the contract. The contract creates a lien in favor of the lender. The lien allows the lender to take the car, sell it, and apply the sales proceeds to the loan if you default on your payment. If the auction price isn't enough to pay off the loan, you'll still owe the remainder, called a deficiency balance. The lender releases the lien on the car after you pay the loan balance. So this is the reason why when you get a vehicle, you sign a contract and you do not have the title. The bank keeps the title, or the original lender keeps the title of the vehicle. They keep the title because they still own it until you pay it in full. That's what gives them the right to repossess the car. And that's the reason why a repossession can be any type of item where you're putting up the collateral and then they're able to take it back, which is the lien. All right. So just like when you hear a lien on a house, that's because something happened with the home where maybe you put it up for collateral, something of that nature. You weren't able to meet whatever contractual obligations that you promised. And now there is a lien on your home to take that home back, to take that property. Okay. So just keep that in mind, that that's the only identifying factor of a repossession, which is why you don't see credit cards as repossessions. Okay. Now, I want to talk about the difference between a repossession and a charge off. Again, if you're familiar with this channel, then you would know on a lot of my videos, I've been talking about removing charge offs because for collections, we know the results. We've seen them. People are getting the collections removed by watching my video on removing collections, on removing hard inquiries, on removing personal information. Those are very easy to take care of. But charge offs are account specific. And some people didn't realize, but a repossession and a charge off can be the same thing and not the same thing. And I'll explain. A charge off is an accounting term. It's just a term. A charge off simply means that the account has been removed from the company's books because no payment has been made in between 120 to 180 days, depending on the type of account. If you let a credit card go for 180 days, by federal law, it has to be charged off. For vehicles, it's 120 days. It has to be charged off because you have not made a payment. All right. Repossessions, as mentioned prior, is when collateral is taken back. And this can occur with property other than cars, such as furniture, jewelry, other personal property, anything where you pledged to secure a loan can be repossessed as long as the lender follows the state laws. And then that can vary from state to state. Okay. And again, the federal law requires a lender to charge off a credit card debt when it is 180 days late. A car loan or installment loan must be charged off when it is 120 days late. So if you have a car where the car hasn't been paid on for 4 months, that car can be charged off right before it's repossessed. So you can have a charge off before you have a repossession on the vehicle. And then you can have a charge off and a repossession. I'll give you examples so that way you can see what I'm talking about. But you just want to keep in mind that the only difference between a repossession and a charge off is that they took the item back and then you didn't make any payments. Then they charged it off. And then we'll talk about what that looks like with the vehicle, because then you can identify this on your credit report if you're looking at a repossession. So then that would probably, in my opinion, beg the question, can a car loan be charged off without a repossession? So like I was saying, it's possible to charge off a loan without having the dealer repossessed or the lender repossess the car. So as stated earlier, car loans are supposed to be charged off if no payment has been made for 120 days. But unsecured debt like credit cards or medical accounts can stay on the books until they're 180 days old. Usually a lender will repossess the collateral and sell it long before 120 days pass. So the thing is, for an example, you can have a car that got repossessed because you didn't pay for 90 days, for 3 months. A bank, lender, creditor, whoever gave you the loan to get the vehicle, they can then repossess the car. Now you have a repossession on your credit because you haven't paid it in 90 days. Then the lender can sell the car in auction. Whatever they get for the car, which will usually be much less than what your loan is, they'll put that towards the loan, and then the remaining balance is now a charge off. So that's how we get a repossession that's been charged off. All right. So almost always the proceeds of the sale will not be enough to cover what's owed on the loan. Of course, it wouldn't make sense for them to repossess the vehicle. I'm sure in some special cases, maybe there was a situation where the car value was almost able to cover the remaining balance on the loan. And most lenders will need to charge off the remaining balance. Now, for charge offs like credit cards, most of the time, you've never seen me talk about challenging the balance. That's one key difference with repossessions. If they sold a car and it sold at auction for an amount and the charge off amount is different, you can dispute that and actually get it removed for inaccuracy. That's a side note, but that's just an example of when we can actually use the balance. You usually never see me do that on credit cards, but on repossessions, yes. So no law requires the lender to repossess the collateral before charging off the loan. So what we're saying is someone can come take your property, your vehicle, your motorcycle, your boat, whatever it is that, again, that's what the repossession is. They're taking back whatever the thing is that you were paying off. No law requires the lender to repossess the collateral before charging it off. So you can get a repossession before a charge off. And the lender can choose to do it the other way around or could choose not to repossess the car at all. So you can actually have a charged off car that hasn't been repossessed. That can happen. In those type of situations, because I'm sure that'll be a question, what I would challenge you to try to figure out is if you had a car that was charged off, but they didn't repossess it, how are you going to acquire the title for proof of ownership to sell that car or trade in that car? I mean, I guess you could just sell it to anybody, but without a title, it's going to be hard for them to get it registered or to do anything else to legally drive that vehicle. And then who knows what type of Grand Theft Auto they could put on that, because technically wouldn't it be stolen? That's just food for thought. I don't know the exact details because, again, I'm talking about very unique scenarios. There's a lot of different ways that this can go, and it just varies. But the point is that even if a car hasn't been seized and taken from you, doesn't mean that you still own it. And if that's the case, even if you get a charge off removed, a repossession that's been charged off, or a car auto loan that's been charged off, even if you get it deleted, that doesn't make that car yours. Just bear that in mind. So, again, the lender can choose to do it the other way around or could choose not to repossess the car at all. The lender might be forced to forego repossession if the car can't be located or if the car's value is less than it would cost to sell at auction. For instance, if the car was totaled in an accident, the lack of a repossession doesn't alter the need to charge off the loan or prevent the lender from selling the charge off loan to a debt buyer. So that's another good situation that we could talk about. Let's say you had an auto loan where the car got totaled out, so there wasn't a car to repossess, but they charged off your auto loan. In that situation, you'll see most of the time, the original lender will end up selling the debt to a debt buyer. Now, when they sell it to a debt buyer, we all know about the double jeopardy rule. At least if you've watched my videos, then you know. You can't have a charge off account and a collection account on the same credit report because that debt's been sold. So you can actually look at your credit report if you have a repossession. If you have a collection for the repossession, you can now get the charge off deleted, and then you can watch my collection video to remove that collection. Now they're both deleted. And I'm going to give you a scenario where I think the example that I have covers almost, I think, all of these topics and then some. Now, again, the need to charge off the loan or prevent the lender from selling the charge off loan to a debt buyer. Remember my other charge off video where I just talk about charge off like accounts in general? A debt buyer usually will purchase an auto loan that's been charged off because a debt buyer has the intention to sue. A collection agency buys small balances and they try to collect. They try to buy it for like pennies on the dollar and then try to collect for the full amount or a good amount that will be more than what they pay for it at the very least. A debt buyer buys a debt because the price is very high and they have the intention to sue you because they know that they'll have verifiable information to prove it. And they can be successful when that does happen, especially if, you don't show up to court. Now, that's something that I'm not going to go over because I am not an attorney. I'm not a financial advisor, and I don't handle anything legal. What I can say is you can Google this and look at examples of what happened, and then you can consult a lawyer when it comes to that information. But what I can say is the number one reason that people get sued is because they get served and never show up to court. If you don't go to court, you automatically lose. It's in favor of the plaintiff if you don't show up. That's it. You automatically lose. So if there's one thing that I can say, don't avoid it. Show up. Because you showing up, you're very likely to see, well, if you don't show up at all, it's already a given. It's just a matter of time. When your wages get garnished, then you'll just see it. Show up to court and consult an attorney and do some research. But I can't advise you on that. But it's just something to keep in mind because, if you do get this account deleted from a debt buyer, and you can Google all the most popular debt buyers. We all, if you're watching this and you have some, they're all the same. You'll know who they are. They don't always sue, but they usually buy debt with the intention of suing. That's the reason why they buy such large amounts. That's the intention. And of course, they know the consumer law, so they know, and they know a lot of people don't show up. So just keep that in mind when you're getting these removed. And I would say you can always weigh your pros and cons. For example, you can get an account deleted from your credit report. And then before anything happens, and this is only if they maybe are seeking legal action. I would only if they're seeking it. If they're not seeking it, I'm not going to do anything. But let's say that they were, or you maybe got the hint that it was coming. You can call them and try to negotiate for a lower price. So let's say that originally you had a car loan for $10,000 and they're willing to work out a payment plan for you to pay 50%. So now you got to pay $5,000 and maybe you pay it in like a installment plan over the next 6 months. That's still half, and your credit report is clean. So now you can also, get loans from other lenders. So in that situation, it's not like, it's a better situation than the alternative. Or you show up to court, you handle it that way, and you may not have to pay anything. I don't know. It just depends. These are all hypothetical situations, but I try to address all the questions. That way you're aware of what can occur in the event that all these accounts get deleted, because it's not just so much that we need to just get them deleted. It's that we need to understand what these accounts are. What are the repercussions of removing them from our credit report? What are the advantages of moving them from our credit report? Because there are some advantages. What could be the potential cons? In any event, no matter which way it goes, a debt buyer can potentially sue you, even if you don't remove it from your credit report. So if you ask me what my personal opinion is, I would always delete it, because if I'm going to get sued anyway, potentially, I might as well have a clean credit report. You know what I'm saying? But again, each situation is different and it's on a case-by-case basis. And if it comes to anything legal, you need to consult someone who deals in that specifically, even if it's just a consultation just to get their opinion on how they would handle it. That is my recommendation, because there are people who specialize in dealing with debt buyers and law practice, and then it varies by state. So I would definitely look at that in the future. Now, I'm looking at an example from February the 6th, 2024. This is actually an account that I worked on, and I'm just going to preface this by saying these are 3 repossessions. There are 3 different types, and I was also able to get 2 of them deleted. And this is a situation where they were deleted in about 3 to 4 weeks. It doesn't always happen this fast. This is an ideal situation. It's an ideal situation, and I just want to make note of that, because then I have other people who have not gotten any repossessions deleted, and some people who are still dealing with them, or some things come off in round 4 or 5, but we'll go over that. So on example 1, as we can see, this account was a repossession, and it looks like it was purchased by a debt buyer, and it went to Consumer Portfolio Services. Now, this account was opened March 11, 2017, It was closed and written off with a balance of $16,477. And the last status update was August 2022. And the original balance was $22,809. So clearly they must have sold the vehicle once it was repossessed. And they took the difference, and the remaining was $16,477. Now, as you can see, the car was late in December of 2018, late 2019, up until January, February, March, April, and then it was repossessed in May of 2019. And after that, it was showing as repossessed, and then it was charged off. Now, the way that we got this account deleted is by repeated charge off. Looking at this report right now, do you see how every month it says CO, 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 CO? That is extending the statute of limitations. That is inaccurate. Once an account is charged off, from the date it's charged off, it should not have any more activity on this account. So we actually got this account deleted for two reasons, but believe it or not, but the first one is, one, this was showing up on the report more than one time at purchased by a debt buyer, and it was also a charge off. And then we also had the inaccurate reported information, the repeating charge off for several months, extending the statute of limitation. All right. But I just want to have you look at this account, and those were two things that you could have used off the rip to dispute. Again, if this is your first time on my channel, you've never seen my videos, I'm going to show you step by step how, if you were looking at something like this, what you would look for, what you would identify, and what you would use to remove your repossession. All right. So again, if we're looking at this, if you have your credit report, I recommend pulling it from annualcreditreport.com. I also use Experian. But annualcreditreport.com is completely free. You can get your report once a week as of today's date. Okay, that could change in the future. It used to be once a year. Then COVID happened. They made it once a week. It's continued to be once a week. This may change in the future. So if you're watching this video and it's several months later, a year later, however much time has passed, you may have to double check that because things may have changed. Regardless, if you can potentially get your report from annualcreditreport.com, get your report. It is the only report that you could get that it's overseen by federal law. So the government actually made it a law that this particular place has to provide you with your full credit report once a year. Now it's once a week currently, but at least once a year. So that way you get the full information. I always recommend getting this one now because there's information that you probably won't see. Again, a lot of the reports don't show the repeated charge off. A lot of them don't. A lot of them don't show that this car was like when the repossession started here. And look at this. It went 30, 60, 60, 90. Even that is inaccurate reporting. Now, adjusting a late payment doesn't necessarily warrant a deletion, but we would be looking at different things that we can use. This one would be like a weaker type of argument, but still it's inaccurate. So I'm just giving you, those are, just looking at this again, it's three different ones I got right off the bat. And this is only from Experian. You can also compare all three. Let's say I had TransUnion and Equifax pulled up as well. If Equifax had 30, 60, 90, 120 repossession, now I can dispute that the information is different across multiple bureaus. If the information is coming from the same data furnisher, it should always be the same. That could have been a fourth one. So I've already given you 4 ways you could get this account deleted. Okay. Here is example 2. Now for example 2, this is a different repossession. This is with Credit Acceptance Corporation. Now this one was open March 17th, 2023. The balance was $21,493, and the original balance was $19,033. All right. So as you can see here, we had a late payment started in August, and it went 30, 60, 90, repossession, repossession, repossession. All right. So on here, we have some repossession dates, but I don't see that the account was actually ever charged off, right? So we don't have any type of charge off information on this account. It was just repossessed. So we can dispute that. We also have a past due amount of $3,160 past due as of January 2024. We could take a look at that, but we can also compare all three reports and see if any of our information is actually inconsistent. And that's the other thing. Inconsistent information is one of the best ways to get an account deleted. And this one, as I believe, did have some inconsistent information. I only have the Experian report, but you would put them side by side. You would compare them and find what is the difference between them. And then we would use that to get it deleted. Like, for example, if the balances were different, we could look at that for this one. This one doesn't have the repeated charge off amount. But then if we look at the account, if it's in a charge off status, it never was actually charged off. So how can you have an account that's shown as a charge off on one bureau, but not a charge off on another? These are all things that we can use to get the account deleted. And this is the example number 3. I believe this is the account that's still currently active. I'd have to check with this individual to make sure that it got deleted. I think it was still being worked on, but if I have an update, I'll post it in the comments, because I probably will have an update on this last one in probably like the next month or so. So depending on when you're watching this, look in the bottom of the description and let me know. Look there, not let me know, excuse me, but like look there and see if I updated this in the future to make sure that this one got deleted too. But without you having to really look too hard, I'm sure you can already see it's repeating charge off every single month. Easy one, right? What my goal is to have you guys look at accounts and you're able to tell right off the bat what's the problem. So the original balance was $14,013. The balance is $7,958. So clearly they sold the vehicle at auction. The remaining balance is $7,958. Now, if we go to, let's say, the TransUnion and Equifax report, but the balance is $14,000, we have an inconsistent reporting balance. We can now dispute that and say this account is inaccurate. And then you can screenshot this same account, go to TransUnion and say, hey, basically you use the same thing. If the balance isn't consistently the same across all three bureaus, it's incorrect. It doesn't matter which one has the right balance. It's just that we can play them against each other. If you're 7 and you're 14 and you're 9, you guys are all wrong. If you're coming from the same data furnisher, this information is inaccurate. You all need to be deleted because no one's consistent. And it's repeating charge off. You're extending the statute of limitations. The account needs to be deleted. I'm probably going to list the common inaccuracies here. If you want a list of more common inaccuracies, you can get my ultimate credit repair guide. I put that together to have templates. The templates are in a letter form, but again, for the people who've been on my channel, we like to do things in the most efficient manner to respect our time. Because I know we have things to do other than finance and working on this kind of stuff. You guys have lives, and I want to respect your time. So I want to put you in the best position to win by providing the information and the method that can most quickly resolve your issue, within reason. So we want to respect our time, and I want to respect your time because we have things that we have to do and get done other than just look at this stuff. So, those are, again, 2 other reasons that this account can be deleted. And that's just by looking at the account by itself. And then when we compare it to other accounts, we have examples. Now, this was on February 29th from this same person. Credit acceptance got removed, and the consumer portfolio S got removed, and also a Wells Fargo account got removed. So just if we go back, that was this account with credit acceptance was deleted. This account with consumer portfolio was deleted. Both of these got deleted. We did not get a deletion on one main. I think one main is still currently being worked on. Again, if it gets deleted, I will update in the description when that happens so you guys have a time frame. So in this situation, it was ideal. It only took a couple of weeks. By February 29th, 2024, we had 2 repossessions deleted. We also had a Wells Fargo account deleted. Again, this is an ideal situation. It doesn't always happen that fast. I'm very happy that for this individual it happened that fast, but it doesn't always happen that fast. But I'm going to give you the steps in the process in order for you to do it the exact same way that this person did it in a very timely fashion. Okay? So again, if you guys are familiar with my channel, you know that I submit all of my disputes through the CFPB. I do not write letters. I used to write letters. I just found that I got the same results by doing everything online. And the way it works, we submit complaints through the CFPB, which I will show you how to do later in this video. And we submit 3 rounds first. The reason why we submit 3 rounds, and the reason why I'm repeating this, is because I get a lot of comments asking the same exact question. You need to do an investigation, a reinvestigation, and then you tell them what you're disputing. And I'm going to tell you again why. If you read the FCRA law, the law says, and this is the only thing that's true, you are entitled to a 100% accurate report. You know what that means? If anything is wrong with that report, it needs to be deleted. If an account has one thing that's inaccurate, it has to be deleted or updated. Let me clarify, deleted or updated. And the credit bureaus choose which one that they do. But it tells you after any reinvestigation. So that lets me know, one, first I need to ask them to investigate it. 2, I need to ask them to reinvestigate it. Okay. And then 3, after they've confirmed 2 times that this account was accurate, they confirmed it twice, right? Now I'm going to say, okay, you say you looked at my account and you say that this account was accurate, but if you actually look here, here's an inaccuracy. And your neglect to maintain a 100% accurate reporting is violating my consumer rights. This account needs to be deleted. That's how it works. One of 2 things happens. They either update the account or they delete it. I'll say this, the older the account is, the more likely they'll delete it. Why? The longer you have history that's inaccurate, the least likely they are to try to update all that information. The newer it is, the more likely they are to just update the information instead of deleting it. That's why you have to build this case when you're doing it. You can't just ask for a deletion because then they'll throw out your dispute, say it's verified, or they'll update the information right away and you lose options to dispute with it in the first place. So bear that in mind. That's why you need to follow this process. You got to follow this process. And I'm going to just kind of go over it with you so that you understand exactly what we're looking for. So round 1, again, I don't write letters. I take these complaints. I use this exact verbiage. This is the exact verbiage I use to delete these accounts. So round 1, recently I looked at a copy of my credit report and noticed several inaccuracies on my account. You never say what the inaccuracy is. If you say what the inaccuracy is, they'll either throw it out or they'll update it. Don't say what the inaccuracy is. This account is hurting my ability to obtain credit. It's my understanding that the credit bureaus will investigate this account for me to ensure accuracy. Here is the account I am asking you to verify as accurate. Enter the account name, enter the account number. When you submit this through the CFPB, everyone gets the same response. And people ask me about that, so I want to clarify it so that's not a question. They always say we have 60 days to close this. They always say that. Everyone gets the same response. We have 60 days to close this account. That's normal. People will email me and leave comments like, they're worried. That's normal. Everyone gets it. Everyone here will get that We respond in 60 days. After you submit your complaint through the CFPB round 1, don't use the CFPB to monitor your complaint. Create an account on Experian.com. Create an account on Equifax.com. Create an account on TransUnion.com. Why? When you create an account and you turn on your alerts, they send you emails and notifications in real time about the status of that dispute. When they contact you back and they say dispute resolved, more than likely it's going to say the account has been verified as accurate. That's what we want. We want them to say the account is verified as accurate. That's normal. Perfect. I'm glad you verified it. Then we go back to the CFPB and we start round 2. So round 2 goes or will be stated here as such. I disagree with the account listed below, which still appears on my credit report. Even after your investigation, I would like this item immediately reinvestigated. The inaccuracies are highly injurious to my credit score. Enter the account name and account number. In accordance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and then it enters the section and subsection. Again, you can screenshot this and just copy it. You can use it verbatim. Please provide the names and business addresses of each individual with whom you verify the above. This is important. This is important. I said this in my other video about how to dispute your credit report, and I gave the example of when someone says that you owe them money, you would never just give them money or accept it as such. Or if someone told you something is true that you know is not true, what's the first thing that you're going to ask for? Proof, evidence. How can you say that I owe something or something is valid? Show me proof. What you guys have to understand is the consumer law is there for you. The burden of proof is on the credit bureaus. You don't have to prove anything. Now, you do want to give examples of what's wrong to be able to support my inaccuracy claim, but you don't have to prove anything. The burden of proof is on them, which is why sometimes, occasionally, you'll get deletions from just round 2. Because in round 2, you're going to ask for the business address of each individual with whom you verified the above so that you can follow up. Please send me an updated copy of my credit report, after the reinvestigation, but you want to ask them for the name, the correspondence, who you spoke with, what day, everything. Reason being, and I've talked about this before, but I haven't really addressed it too much. The credit bureaus don't talk to anybody specifically. They have a system called eOscar that breaks down your dispute into a code called Metro 2, a 2-digit code. Every dispute that you submit is broken down into a 2-digit code. It goes to the eOscar system of the person that you're disputing it with, and they verify the information that way. That's the reason why I make it a point to always say, before you start doing a dispute, clean up your personal information. If there is an address that's tied to a repossession, they can verify that repossession just by looking at the address. If you've moved, delete that old address. Delete every old address on your credit report except for the one that, of course, you live at. And if that just so happens to be the one attached to that account, then so be it. That's just your address. But if that account was open when you live somewhere else, delete all the old information. Delete it, everything. That's going to help. They can't verify if you remove the old information. Another thing, because this came up a lot too, and please, I hope that you guys don't skip through the video and listen to the whole thing, because all this information is important. I have a video. There's a video that I have on my channel that shows you how to remove personal information in about 24 hours, and it can all be done online. Every once in a while, everyone sees this. There's going to be an address that you can't delete online because it's going to say that address is associated with an account. Those are the ones you want to be the most worried about. It tells you have to call. That is normal. When you call, please understand that this is your information. You control it, not them. When you call, all you have to do is say, I don't recognize this account. They're going to say the same thing. Okay, well, I may have to transfer you over to somebody else because it is associated with this with this account. So, and all you have to say is, I don't know that address. I don't live at that address. I don't recognize that address. I need to delete it immediately. You know what they're going to say? Okay, and they delete it. They don't pull out some information from this secret information guy that for some reason people seem to think that the credit bureau has. There is no the credit bureaus are not a government agency. They are just a regular company. That's it. They are not a government agency. They don't have a list of all your information. It's just a regular person on the phone who has to follow a procedure. I know, I worked at call centers. It's just a regular person on the phone, just like you and me, who just has to follow these procedures, and they just read the rules where it says, well, if they ask you twice, then you have to delete. That's it. It's not difficult. Just get it deleted. When you get that deleted, you probably increased your chance of removing information by 50%. I just want to make note of that. All right. So please understand, this is your information. It's your responsibility to make sure anything you don't want on there is not on there. And if you leave anything on there, then that's what you want someone to have access to. So it's your choice whether or not you want to make sure to take the initiative to remove this information. It's up to you. Now, when you get to round 3, everyone's round 3 will be different. Please understand that. Round 3 is where you have to look at your report and you have to figure out what's wrong. Round 3 is the point where usually a lot of people, I think they get nervous. But this is easy, guys. The same way I told you a couple things that you can look at, it works the exact same way. You just look at it and you figure out what's wrong. Some things you could eyeball first time and see it. You know, trust me when I say that this isn't hard. You could even put 3 reports next to each other from annualcreditreport.com, hopefully. And you can say if it's not the same, that's wrong. Okay? It's very easy. So the example I'm going to use is the repeated charge off one, because 2 of the accounts had that. I know for sure that's one of the reasons that we used. But if you want more examples, I've started doing charge off videos like at least once every week, where I go through different types of examples, like date of activity, date of last payment, status update, double jeopardy. Like I'm going to literally do like a video that shows you almost every reason to remove a charge off, in this case repossession, for every single reason. And you can like watch those videos, look at your report, make a comparison, find a reason. That's what you're going to use for round 3. So this account was charged off on the following date. If this is applicable to your charge off, again, the repossession could not show charged off. So just keep that in mind. You just want to use the right verbiage. This account was charged off on the following date. Since then, the account has repeatedly been updated as charged off every month. This is an update in the payment history. A charged off account should not include an active payment history. This inaccurate information falsely manipulates the statute of limitations. You failed to investigate this account properly after I asked you to do it twice, and your neglect has violated my rights. I am demanding a deletion of the following account number, account name. Simple, right? I asked you to investigate one time. You didn't do it. I asked you to investigate twice. You said it was okay. I'm showing you now an actual specific detail that is inaccurate, and I can prove it's inaccurate. Now you need to delete it. When this happens, again, with the eOscar system, I don't really talk about that much, because it's like, it's almost like you don't have to know how the movie is made to enjoy the movie, right? You don't really need to like know that, but I just want you to understand that it's not like someone looking at this report just goes to a machine. If they can't verify the information, if they confirm that it is highly inaccurate, potentially it gets deleted. Remember, the repeating charge off, we had that here on this account. As you can see, many months repeating charge off. That will greatly increase the chance this account gets deleted before they update all those months. And same thing here. But this one, I believe, is still active. Again, I'll update you with that. But just these 2 were able to get deleted. So we got 2 out of 3 within 3-4 weeks. Pretty good. All right. So now that I've shown you the verbiage for round 1 through 3, and we've talked about the specific examples and how you handle round 1 and 2, again, you can screenshot this and copy copy and paste the information with your account number. And again, personal information. Make sure that's cleaned up first. Makes it much easier to get these deletions. We're gonna go to the CFPB, and I'm going to once again do an example of what round 3 would look like. All right, so this is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. It is the CFPB. This is the only government credit bureau. Again, the rest of the 3 credit bureaus are just data companies. They just collect information. This is the only government entity. So we go to submit a complaint, and then you're going to scroll down and you're going to click on start new complaint. Now, if you are like me and you already have an account, then you're going to go to already submitted a complaint or created your account, and you're going to sign in. If you do not have an account, of course, you're going to do first name, last name, email, phone number, create a password, and you are going to sign up. Once you are logged in, you're going to see a blue button in the top right-hand corner. It's going to say start a new complaint. You're going to click on that button, and then you're going to get this screen, which is going to be step 1 of 5, submit a complaint. And it's going to ask you, what is the complaint about? Well, the complaint is going to be about a credit report. And just so you know, for steps 1 and for round 1 and 2, you use these exact same options. So you're going to choose credit reporting or other personal consumer report, and then credit reporting. And then we're going to go to the next step. And then when you go to what type of problem are you having, you're going to choose problem with the company's investigation into an existing problem. And yes, for round 1, you're still going to select this option. You're going to say problem with a company's investigation into an existing problem. Their investigation did not fix an error on your report. Have you already tried to fix the problem with the company? Yes, I did. Did you request information from the company? Yes, I did. Did the company provide this information? No, they did not. And you're going to click on next. And again, round 1 and 2, same thing. Except for round 1 and 2, you copy and paste the information and you put the account number and the account name. So now this is the example for round 3, where we're going to actually submit the factual dispute. So in this, for this hypothetical that I'm showing you for an example, you already did round 1, you already did round 2. The credit bureaus have already investigated and reinvestigated. So now we're on round 3. Normal response time can be like 7 to 10 days. It's fairly quick. And that's the reason why I do this instead of doing letters. Okay. You can get 4 months of work done in a couple weeks. All right. So now they're going to say, describe what happened. And we're just going to copy and paste our verbiage in there. And this account was charged off on the following date. And then we're going to fill in all the information. So as you can see here, our initial charge off date was August of 2019. So we're going to mention that this was the date. And then we're also going to grab the account number from up here, which you can see it was 400172 and then XXXXXX. Yes, if it has the X's, that is your full account number. That is the number that you will want to actually use. The one with all the X's. You want the name up here. You want the full account number. Okay. All right. So now I've added this information. The account was charged off on the following date, August 2019. Since then, it has repeatedly been updated as charged off every month, and exactly what we discussed. Now we're going to copy the bottom part that we had where it says, what would be a fair resolution? You just copy the same thing. I asked you to do it. I'm sorry, let's just delete that. I am demanding a deletion of the following account, and then that's the account name and account number. And it's very simple. Your dispute shouldn't really be more than 3 lines. It's very, very simple, very, very straightforward, and to the point. Here, where it says select and attach a document, you're going to use the following. You are going to add the screenshot that I just showed you that clearly lays out all the incorrect information. You're going to screenshot that. You're going to attach it as a file. You're going to add a picture of your driver's license. You're going to add a picture of your social security number or a second form of ID. You can also use your passport and birth certificate. I would recommend using 2 forms of ID. And then you want to use a proof of address. You always want to use this information when you're submitting the factual dispute. When you're submitting the investigation, I recommend you add the proof of residence, your ID, and their second form of ID. You don't need to add a picture of the item that you're disputing. Okay? So rounds 1 and 2, driver's license, your social security card, proof of address or residence at your current address. For round 3, when we're doing a factual dispute, we're actually showing what the problem is: driver's license, your social security number, your proof of address, and then a screenshot showing the actual issue. Okay. Proof of address can also be your insurance for your car, your voter registration. It could also be your utility bill, your gas bill, your internet bill, your phone bill, a bank statement. All right. Any of those things work as the proof of address. And the reason why I always say to add that is because sometimes they try to stall you out by sending you we can't identify you to know who you are. Then you have to kind of start the process over. So just be sure to add that here, and then we'll move on to the next step. Now, when they ask you the company name that you're disputing, you want to put the credit bureau name. You're going to put, let's start with Experian. You're going to click on Experian, and then you're going to add this information. So company name, Experian, social name as it appears on your credit report. Put your name as it appears, your date of birth. So and then once this information is filled out, it's going to ask you down here, do you want to complain about another company? You're going to click yes. So when you do this, here's the cool thing. You don't never dispute 2 different charge offs or repossessions at the same time on one dispute. But the cool thing is when you're submitting this through the CFPB, you can do one account, but you can submit it to all 3 credit bureaus at the same time. But again, if you have different accounts, you have to do that separately. So if I have one account with ABC Finance Company, I submit a complaint for them, but I can send it to all 3 credit bureaus at the same time. And then if you have a collection to 123 Inc., you take 123 Inc. on its own complaint, but you can then submit it to all 3 credit bureaus at the same time. So now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to add TransUnion. So once you fill out all the information for TransUnion, it's the same exact questions. Have you already tried to fix the problem with the company? Did you request the information from the company? And you select the exact same options. Yes, yes. It's optional to put the information that you requested. Did the company provide this information? No. You're going to then add the same information. You're going to check Social Security, name as it appears, and date of birth. Once you're done entering all this information, you're going to add Equifax if that's applicable to you. And then you're going to go on to the next step by clicking next at the bottom. All right. So in this option, it's going to say myself. From here, you click myself and it's going to be the review page. On the review page, all you have to do is simply add your information. This is the first time that you've done it. If it's not, it should auto-populate with your first name, last name, your current address, your email, best number to contact you. There's optional information there like your gender, your age, military affiliation, all of that. You don't have to answer that. That's all optional. You can just skip that part and then submit. Once you do that, everything is completed. And that is the entire process to submit that repossession. So, that'll be it. Thank you guys. I appreciate all the support. I hope this video was very helpful, and please share it with someone who can definitely find use of the information. And you guys have a wonderful day.